And, I'm looking today, there's like competing stories here, right? There's one story that the economy is going to go in a V shape. The difference between the V recovery and the U recovery. The V recovery is like, there's going to be a day in September where all of a sudden, like, everybody comes back to work and the growth is going to be crazy in September and October. The economy is going to, not totally recover, but like half recover. And Trump is going to go around triumphal. I've got this. I've been great on the economy. I think people still, the polling looks like broadly people trust Trump on the economy more than Biden in some way. And that this is the sort of like nightmare scenario for the Democrats, because, I mean, let's face it, Joe Biden is not necessarily perfectly situated to deal with a campaign that involves him being super proactive, right? And super active. He's much better off, like, just, this is a referendum on Trump. But if things improve a little bit, maybe that changes the calculation that referendum's not so much of a slam dunk. I mean, we saw what happened at the end of last week when Biden went out there and we'll talk about this, tried to get out there and mix it up with Charlemagne the God. But what is your take on this? And on the other hand, I'm looking at like polling that shows that Trump is, I don't know if cratering is the right word, but maybe with Americans over the age of 65, because it turns out that people over the age of 65, I would imagine any age cohort, is not excited to have a message coming from a specific political party that, like, you're dispensable. And we're not going to ruin our time here by protecting the remaining amount of time you have.
Well, I want to see the breakdowns on that. I mean, is it those over 65 in blue states or those over 65 in swing states or
44 battleground House districts?
Okay.
Done by a Democratic pollster, to be fair, Jeff Garin. I don't know anything about him. You might know.
I don't know.
During the second week of May.
Okay. In
those districts, voters over 65 said they had supported Trump in 2016 by a 22% margin, 58 to 36%. This year, those same respondents, 47% saying they're planning to vote for Trump, 43% saying they're planning to vote for Joe Biden.
That's a problem for them. 18
percentage points swing in battleground House districts.
Yeah. Well,
and let's be clear here. These are the same voters. This is not like new voters that are coming out in these battleground districts where presumably we saw in 2018, they tend to be Democratic. I mean, if we follow 2018, these are the same voters.
Right.
That's a big problem if that's right.
This is sort of the conundrum that they have. It's that for every person they're trying to win over by keeping unemployment down, by opening up the economy in red states, they're losing a segment of voters that are just scared for their lives.
Yep.
It is. And Joe Biden just sits there on the sidelines doing nothing. Literally, like, that's it.
If I'm Joe Biden's campaign person, that's what I'm telling him to do.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say, sit on the sidelines because you got nothing else.
Yeah.
Really?
So they're doing a couple of things. They're trying to sow doubt in the Obama administration by putting out crazy conspiracy theories that don't even have, like, there's no like streamlined storyline, whatever it is, that they're trying to push out. They're suppressing votes, like always. They're pushing the economies to open up, hoping for some sort of slight economic recovery in time for him to champion it and say that he defeated Corona. And then China. I mean, China is going to be repeated over and over and over, and wait for that part of the Obama attacks in blaming, as he already is, but taking it to another level of all the jobs that were lost were Obama's fault, and the trade deals with China were Obama's fault. And where was Joe Biden during this time period? He was, and there's tons of footage of him campaigning for the TPP, et cetera. So
yeah, I mean, but the TPP was, it's unpopular, but it was the rationale, and I don't know if I buy it, but the rationale was to get there first and box out China. And I just think that like that stuff is just not that I just don't see how that suppresses votes. I just don't think that there is a large contingency of people out there going like, I would vote for Joe Biden, but I heard this stuff about trade, China. And
I don't think that suppresses votes. I think that reminds whatever voters that they're trying to win in Michigan and Wisconsin about why they're in this economic crisis. And if he can somehow say, the economy was on an uptick already, then we had coronavirus, I solved it, we're in a better situation now. Look at, if the Obama administration had handled this, we would have had the economic recovery that they put forward took 10 years and we never recovered. Right. I did it in 2 months.
Right. Well, I will say this, that I think one of the problems that, I don't think the Trump people have figured out a way to suppress Biden supporters, right? Like they're not going to convince, I think, Biden voters to vote Trump. I think, to the extent that happened, that would have been Obama to Trump voters. And I have a feeling some of those Obama to Trump voters were like, I guess I was wrong. I don't want two non-normal presidents in a row, right? I'm not having a black guy and then a woman. We need to go back to a white guy. Like, I don't know how many of those people are represented in those figures, but I would think that it's some.